Our final speaker this afternoon is a person I believe to be the most knowledgeable financial officer, municipal financial officer in the state of New Jersey, L.MASON Neely. He's the co-chairman of the League Pension and Benefits Study Committee, and he's the chief financial officer in East Brunswick. Lou?
Thank you. Thank you. There's so much to talk about because we really do have a crisis, and Orrin and Tom and Mark have highlighted that. Our deficit is not that bad for PERS, and in a couple of years with full funding and with good returns on investment, local PERS will be fully funded, be close to 100%. But the state portion of PERS is going to take years. And by the way, the governor was supposed to put 60% in based upon the law. They put 51% funding in, so their accrued liabilities continue to grow and their deficits continuing to grow. But police and fire is the same situation because they continue to give benefits in spite of what we ask them to do. The legislature gives benefits to the police and fire at your cost, and it's time to bloom, my friends, and wake up and say that local government's costs are not that bad. Let's get the word out. The pension cost is manageable. But health benefits, Mark, it was wonderful. You don't give post-retirement health benefits in Monmouth County. That means the sheriff's office and the prosecutor's office gets no post-retirement health benefits. What's the solution? They run to the state legislature and the state says, we'll give uniform officers post-retirement health benefits. We'll pay it because those mean people in Monmouth County won't do it. And if any of you towns out there held off and didn't give post-retirement health benefits, the state legislature said, boy, we've got a big budget. We'll fund it too. Until all of a sudden they looked at how big their deficit is. And Orrin said, if we've got a $50 billion deficit or whatever the deficit is for pensions, believe me, the post-retirement health benefit cost is double that or larger. When the teachers union said, who's going to pay our health benefits without any deduction? The state said, roll them into us. We'll put it right on the state budget. Why don't we do it for the PERS employees who work for the school systems also? Roll it in and the state will pay for it. And they kept saying, how about some of the authorities and some of the special districts? Roll them in and we'll pay for it. And for state employees. And so all of a sudden, the costs are coming due because there's no asset group or no group of assets available. That's a pay-as-you-go basis. And the state has to put up almost $3 billion to pay for those assets. And more than half of it is used to pay for retirement benefits for non-functioning workforce. But don't worry. Allowing police officers to retire early will never have any impact. I mean, look at the state police, just a small portion of the budget. How many state police are retired compared to how many state police are working? For every 10 working state police, there's 8 retired state police. And in 4 years, there's going to be 10 retired state police for every 10 working state police. Now, if I am correct, and I'm just a simple finance officer, I'm not sophisticated like some of these people, but that appears to me that there's 2 full workforces that they're going to be funding. One that's taking their holiday pay and their uniform pay, and they're being paid for it and not working. And then there's another group who's now going on a 3-and-3 schedule, 3 days on, 3 days off. And so when you work that out, why they're at some places they work less than 89 days. The ones that are on a 24-hour shift for the fire departments work less than 89 days a year. And if they work right with their sick time and their vacation time and their holiday time and their personal time and their death days, they might even be working 80 days a year. But don't worry, they're going to retire at 49 and we're going to get someone else to work 80 days. Now, I know that it's hard. It's hard work to sleep in a firehouse for 24 hours. I know that one of those towns that has that, they had 3 fire calls last year. Can you imagine that? Out of the 80 days you happened to be on there, you had to make one of those fire calls? How terrible that is. Folks, I want to spray you with a hose and wake you up. It's time we bloom and do something about it. It is out of control. The binding amortization is out of control, and the cost is out of control, and you're paying the property tax. And there's a predator breathing down your neck to bankrupt you, to take it and drive your property tax out of sight, and to make you the blunt of the instrument, because most of the recommendations that are coming out of the pension report and most of the recommendations that are coming out of the special committee of the Senate and Assembly to deal with legislation deals with you, PERS, because you're the large number, as opposed to the people who are really making the cost. And so when you look at the reports in the paper tomorrow and you see that they're going to deal with pension costs, they're really not dealing with pension costs, they're dealing with PERS, people like you, except for I see a couple of my police and fire buddies here who follow, and they know that they're skating because they're not going to be touched by this report, at least the initial recommendations. But if I have anything to do with it, and hopefully if you guys can get woken up, is it wakened up? What's the correct English here? Anyhow, become alive, my friend. Dig down in there and become a cashew. We're tired of peanuts. Now, I have a lot more to say, but it's late, and I know you want to ask some questions, and so I'll just sit down, and then you can ask questions, and I'll turn it over. Thank you.
Your name and...
My name is Tony Wieners. I'm the Executive Vice President of New Jersey State PBA. Maybe we're treated a little differently because we pay 8.5% into our pension. We consistently paid 8.5% into our pensions. We run into fires. We run into holdups. We work 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. We work tough jobs. We got a higher suicide rate than Hollywood.
But not Dennis.
So
Dennis
don't compare police officers to clerks or to anybody else. Police officers, firefighters, we're working tough jobs. And
got time for 2 more questions. Yes,
My
sir.
name is Brian McGordy. I'm a firefighter. It's nice for you to be flippant up there and talk about firefighters sleeping through the night and that they should be working till 60 or 65. But you don't want a 65-year-old man coming up the ladder to save your family. And you don't want people who are well past their prime in a young man's job to be there to protect you if it's a riot or something of that nature. And it may not be the most dangerous job in the year, but as you in the world. But as you jokingly talk about us sleeping, one of my brother firefighters, while many people slept, died on September 9th going up a ladder to save people. So to be flippant about it, I think, is way out of order.
Okay, thank you. If we can... Okay.
My name is John Sergio. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Police and Fire Pension Board.
Okay.
One thing I will say is I like coming here because you always get a lot of misinformation. You cannot roll in your holiday pay into your pension. And also, clothing allowance is not pensionable. Oh, no, you cannot. You can.
Listen, I can give you about 40 or 50 or 60 towns right here. They'll all tell you it's in the contract. How many have that holiday in sick?
Then you know what?
Look around.
Then what they
Tell
should.
me.
Then
And
they're
the
not
board
doing their
approved
job.
it, and I've written to the board, and I've written to the director of pensions, and asked him. It happens.
No, one second.
And the arbitrators put it in.
That clothing is not allowed.
I know it's not allowed, but the board has allowed it.
We have not allowed it. I'm the vice chair. And if you want to know how Vince and Rich vote on it, why don't you come to a board meeting and see how they vote? Why don't you come and do that? I never seen you there. I've been there for 4 years. So don't get up here and give the misinformation on what's pensionable and what's not.
Raise
Because
your
you
hand
do not
again.
know.
Holidays.
Well, then they're
and
not
sick.
doing their job by bringing it to the state's attention. That's what's going on
It's been
here.
brought to the state's attention, and I've
Well,
sent it there.
I'm telling you right now, clothing allowance is not pensionable.
Well, folks, write the letter. You heard it. Send it to the board.
I think we have a great topic for another seminar someday. So thank you very much. I want a round of applause, please, for our panelists. Thank you very much. Michael, did you have something? Do you want to say something? 1 more minute, please. Michael?
You know, as John said, there was misinformation. A few years ago, the towns had a give back or a deferred payment.
Still on.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. What they do with that money? We consistently paid 8.5%. What did PERS pay? What did they pay 3 years ago? What's your percentage? 5. And what did you pay 3 years ago?
We pay 5% now. 3 years ago, it was down to 3%.
Thank you for being honest.
But let me tell you the difference. The funding, the PERS system, because the benefit structure is so minimal, it's 90% funded. Your system, even though you paid in, is only less than 80% funded. And because
That's
you
because
have,
the towns didn't pay their money. You
Well,
had a free
that's-
ride for 5 years.
That's right.
What'd you do with the money?
We all agree with that.
Oh, okay.
We
You
all
agree with
the
it.
employers
What'd you do with
didn't
it? You didn't mention that part.
He did.
Tell him everything.
He mentioned that part. He mentioned the
No,
employers didn't pay.
you didn't mention it.
Okay.
All right, good. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the convention, please.